running. Looks good, right? Green, green, green all across. Audio looks good. Look at this chat already. Have you people got nothing better to do? Okay, good morning, gang. Good morning, good morning. No big surprises this morning. We're going to be, of course, we might, if I don't talk too much, we might get this block finished or not, whatever. What else will be happening? I have a few small, well, we've got the leftover show and tell from the other day, plus a couple of other things came over my desk yesterday, which will be worth showing to you. Rainy again, of course. I don't even, whatever, rainy, rainy, rainy again. It's incredible this year. Last year they set records for the duration of the rainy season and for the amount of stuff that fell out of the sky. And this year those records have been blown away. Totally blown away. There's some kind of system that's just basically sitting over the country, and it's been here for months. It's monsoon top to bottom. And Kyushu, the place that had the bad floods a few weeks ago, they're really getting hit hard right now. As we speak, they're getting hit hard. We're shipping water in two places. The collection room, there's water coming down one wall. We've moved a bunch of stuff away from the wall. And in Ome, they called me 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Dave, we're shipping water. There's water dripping onto one of the block storage rooms, which is great. So I have to head out there maybe on the weekend or not and see what's going on. So we're shipping water all over the place. So, Hanami Cats, thank you guys. Thanks for supporting on that. And I got mine to what's this? O1 business. I didn't ask for. Jed numbers them, right? He numbers them starting with. Yeah, you got number 1. Is that the idea? Okay. I know nothing about that part of it. We make them here. Of course, we don't number them. We put our own names on, the carver and printer, and then out they go. And Jed does what he does with them. They're numbered. I got number 1. Good. Maybe is that the order that your order was placed? I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. You know, I get it that people would like this. It's cool and everything else. And over the years, when that becomes more popular, you've got number 1. I get it. It's a cool thing, and I guess there's even value. But just at this end, the downside for us of having things limited and exclusive is too much of a downside for me. But I get it. It's good fun. When it's fun, it's good fun. Anyway, that one's out of my hands. Jed takes care of that, so. So it's a number by itself, which I guess confuses people. The official art world doesn't even recognize that. So, very occasionally, I get an email. Dave, please, I'm not going to buy your stuff. You know, I want to see that this thing has value. We get this kind of an email. And back when I used to do exhibitions, people would say, "Sorry, man, no numbers. I'm not going to buy this. It has no value. I'm throwing my money away." I'm like, okay, if that's the way you want to think about it, that's fine. That's a legitimate, in its own world, that's a legitimate viewpoint. If people are buying them for what they perceive as investment, that's okay. That's a thing in its own right. It's not the particular game we want to play, that's all. You know? So I'm sure I lose out on a bunch of business because of that. But it's okay. The excuse I tell myself is I'm losing customers who didn't care about the print anyway. They just wanted to think of it as value, you know. So whatever, they get what they want, and we get what we want. Okay, let's get going here. They're certainly shuffled in the manufacture. This is something that sometimes people don't understand. You know, when we're making these things, it's a bit of a paradox because when we get the paper moist, we put it in the stack and we re-moisten, put it in the stack, and then we start printing. And from that moment when we start printing till the end, they're not shuffled, ever. So the one that was first on the blocks for the first impression stays the first one right to the end. Because what happens, the blocks expand bit by bit as you're printing. So the key block, as you're printing on I'm speaking about a non-plywood block, the traditional way, the blocks expand as you go. So by the time you've printed the hundredth print in your group or whatever, the block is a little bit bigger. And if you were to shuffle your sheets before you come time to do the color blocks, you're in trouble because a color block would then be trying to print on a wide and a narrow version. So during the time it's on the printer's bench, the order is absolutely strictly kept. Once they're done, okay, here we go, let's dry these things. From that point on, from our point of view, we never make any attempt whatsoever to keep them in order. They're dried, they're shuffled, oops, bit damp, let's shuffle some more, put them upside down, put them in the boards this way, that. So by the time we send it off to Jed, we've shuffled it for drying, we've trimmed it a group at a time, 10 at a time or so, 10 at a time. They've been thoroughly, well, not shuffled like randomly like Las Vegas would do with cards, but they have been certainly mixed up. We no longer know which is the first and which is the last. Well, even John's saying, we don't make investments, we make art. Even from our point of view here, that's, I'm not even doing that. I mean, I don't make investments, I don't make art, I make fun, interesting stuff that people want to enjoy as part of their lives, So, again, not to negate any of those viewpoints, just the twist we have here is, and we have historical. That's the way it was in the old days. It was just stuff. They made stuff they hoped people would buy. It was business, business, business. And in a sense, we're doing just the same thing, So. But having said that all, it was fun. If I see that you've got number one, if I had been in the same position, yeah, wow, cool. So I get it. I see both sides. Part of the reason why at this end I don't want to do that is because there's also, I'm going to be careful what I say, I guess, but there's also very much an unethical aspect to that environment sometimes. This is not a blanket condemnation of anybody doing numbering, but certainly here in Japan, where that thing is taken very not seriously and very loosely, have you got the right number? Were there really only that many made? That's whatever, you don't know. In some environments, maybe they did their numbering, they canceled the block, and away you go. But that's certainly not the way it's happened here. Not at all. Those Genji prints that we'd see, they were nominally an edition of 300, so they said. And our friend Jacques, he's on this stream lots, he's got one that's numbered 400 and something, So anyway. Okay, let's have a go at this boy's hair. This is not full-scale, large-size ukiyo-e hair carving. Very, very small scale. So we're not going to taper all these hairs. We're just going to slice them into shape. My own camera, yeah. A few minutes before the stream started this morning, I was sitting here getting ready, cranking it up and getting it all set, and there was a bird thing happening outside, and not the usual crows, but there was some kind of little bird, must have perched in the tree just outside here. I've got the shutter halfway down, and there was a bird in there that I'd never ever heard before. I can't imitate it. I can't do it. But it was really, really cool. Here, down here in the middle of the city, we don't get so much, bird song or bird calls or stuff. Out in Ome, where my house is, there's lots. But here, there's not so much. And it was a kind of bird I'd never heard before. But I made the classic beginner's mistake. I wanted to see the thing. So I got closer and closer, tried to get behind the shutter and peek through. There's a broken panel in the shutter. I tried to peek through it. And so he was gone. Off he was gone. You can't sneak up on stuff like that. I mean, they're pros at that. And so I suppose I should have just shut up. And or if I'd have been smart enough, put the recorder on and recorded it so I could ask people what it was. Never heard it before. How are things doing over on this side? Is it a holiday in Japan? Yes, it's a special holiday. Today's Saturday. We're in the middle of a 4-day, very, very unusual 4-day holiday. We had the Golden Week last month. This was the holiday that was supposed to be the giant Olympic spectacular. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The opening of the Olympics was supposed to be on Friday. The Olympics hasn't... Oh, somebody's explaining about it. Yeah, sorry. Do I know about Brazilian woodblock printing? No, nothing at all about that. No idea. There's a bunch of people in Sao Paulo who have studied the Japanese style who are doing it down there. The one I'm doing now, is it part of a subscription set? Yes, it's part of my own subscription set. It's not a Moko Hankan print at all. It's one of my own sets. If you look on woodblock.com, my own website, which has been there for like 25 years or so, there's a print series which is supposedly up and running still called The Arts of Japan. And this is the 9th print in that series. Although, to be honest, most of the people who are subscribing to it think I've probably died or something. When I do get this, when I do get this finished, I can't just send it to them. I'll need to send them a letter first saying, "Hi, remember me?" And then I'm not sure. Nominally, it was supposed to be a series of 18 prints, but that's never, ever going to happen now. So, for a couple of reasons, but just whatever. We'll press on for a while and do this. I think it's the 8th print or the 7th print. I can't remember. No, it's not the 7th. 8th print in the Arts of Japan series, I think. Okay, I don't know if you know what's going on here. This hair carving, you can see there's a done zone here and a not done zone. And there's lots of different details, but there's 2 ways to approach this kind of stuff. You've got the solid block of wood here, and you've got the carved hairs here. And this hair now, one face of it has been carved, and the other face needs to be carved. So cutting out this next V, there's 2 ways I could do it. I can cut this side first, as you've seen me be doing. Here, I'll just do this. I could cut, from my point of view now, the left side first here, and then go out and slice the right-hand side, which is the way I've done it so far here up this row. But it could have been done the other way. I could have done the right-hand side first here, this curve, and then the left-hand side. And there's a reason for choosing the left-hand side. As I said, you got solid wood here and hairs here. Now, this piece of steel is going to go down into the wood. And no matter how carefully or thinly I sharpen this piece of wood, a piece of steel goes into a piece of wood And it's like something going into the water. The water gets pushed aside, both sides. Your hand goes into the bucket, the water has to move aside to make room for it. This steel goes into the wood has to move aside to make room for it. Now if I did the cut first on this side, here, on one side of the knife is solid wood, on the other side of the knife is an unsupported hair that was just carved. So what we're doing is we're going to minimize the pressure. If I put the knife in here, it's very possible that hair could break. And even if it doesn't break, it's going to get squeezed. That wood is going to get compressed. So we do it here, and half of the compression is on the hair at the left, and some of the compression is on the hair at the right. But because of the bevel, because the knife is flat on the back, almost none of the compression goes on the hair. Almost all the compression goes into the area that is going to be thrown away in a minute. And maybe you can see it. I can. It's flat on the left and beveled on the right. So after I make this cut, the wood is now standing up a tiny bit. It's been squeezed more in the waist area. Now when I go and do the other side, because the first cut is there, when the knife goes in now to squeeze the wood, the wood in the waist area is free to move. So almost no compression happens on the hair. This, you can see it, it's moving as I slice and out it comes. So that leftover hair now didn't get compressed when I cut the left side of it, and it didn't get compressed when I cut the right side of it. Having said that, this is the way to do it, the official way, the best way, this is the way you should do it. Having said that, if you go back and look at the most recent video, or the two videos back, the epilogue to the Remembering a Carver video, where I showed 5 minutes or so of video of Ito-san carving hairs, what does he do? Of course, he's carving exactly opposite to what I said. He's carving that side first and then pops it out. That side first, pops it out. And back at the time I watched him doing that, I didn't understand any of these things. I watched him do that. Okay, that's the way it's done. You saw me in the video. Watch, you know. And over the years, as I copied it myself and worked it myself and did it myself, I came to realize these things like I just told you just now, that why didn't, like really? I went back and looked at the video again, he's doing it backwards, you know. Whatever, he knows what he's doing. It was a good solid hard piece of wood. His knife was very, very, very thin, and a thin in sense of thin this way. So it was going into the wood and not doing much squeezing, and also he really wasn't sticking it in far. So it was okay, it worked for him. But for me, I like to minimize the number of problems that can go wrong, maximize the efficiency or whatever. But there's lots of ways to skin the cat. Yeah, just his TV blog. So that's right. So whatever. Vivid KP has some prints. Yes, put the link. Karen said, put the links. Just his TV block, yeah. Now we've come to the reversal place here in this row of hairs now. It's really visible in a large format print, but even in this small one it's here. The hairs over his forehead curved, again the way I'm sitting here, they curve down to the left. That's the shape of his forehead. Then once you get past the peak line, which would be right above his nose, they then start to curve back the other way. So these ones are curving to my right. And then when we get down here a bit, they become longer and straighter. There was a turnaround point there just about the time I stopped to talk to you there. There's one hair curved to the left, next one's curved to the right. That's supposed to represent, the peak area there. If we didn't do it that way, no one would notice. This is so small, it's just a bunch of squiggly lines on the boy's face. But whatever, you try and do what, you do to I drew it that way, but is that the way it is on the original? I don't know. No, it's a bit scraggly. This is really. They had no microscope on the top of his head. They're curved down, and then at the point where I said it changes, they just go straight. They bump into the eye and then go straight. I've got the advantage of having a nice lens here. This guy didn't have such an advantage, so that's pretty rough there. Is it left and then right on carving each ear? I can't tell you left and right because it depends which way you're going. As I mentioned before, in general, Dave here would try and recommend the first stroke should go into the place where you've got support behind it, the not carved area. So it's not left or right, it's the first stroke is in the solid wood area. So your stress gets spread around. Then the second stroke is in the one that releases the final hair. The stroke now releases the triangle and the hair stands free. So I don't make the first stroke against the hair. But as I said, Ito-san was doing it that day anyway, on that block, was doing it the other way around. So. And we're only doing 2 strokes here. We're doing left, right, cut, out she comes. On the larger size prints, the ones we saw in that Ito-san video and my own work back in the octopus and stuff like that. On larger size prints, there's 2 more strokes, which we won't be doing here. 2 more strokes that bevel the tip of each hair. At this scale, that's just ridiculous and not needed. So. Yesterday and on Friday I spent sizing and shipping paper to our printers, but once that was done in the afternoon, I spent yesterday afternoon and evening, Yamada-san was here during the afternoon, and we did a whole bunch of work on the collection. He just sat there all day at the computer doing data entry for the collection catalog, and I was upstairs sorting things out and getting prints out of their original folders into the storage folders that we use. And I found a bunch of cool stuff that I'd forgotten about. We gotta maybe remind me next week or something, I'm gonna show and tell. It's a Kabuki Ju Hachiban series. At some point, I don't know, 100 years ago or whatever, I don't know Kabuki history that well. One of the Kabuki families, Danjiro, Ichikawa family, set an idea that there was top 18 Kabuki plays throughout history. It's like the best kabuki plays. And that became sort of a staple of the repertoire. And a bunch of different artists illustrated it. Here's the Kabuki Top 18, and it became known as the Kabuki Ju Hachiban, Kabuki 18. And there's a set of prints upstairs made in the late Meiji era, illustrating this, and they are so much fun. The embossing on the paper is so thick, the embossing is so lively, you could walk down through it, it's just incredible. It's really overdone. It's gaudy, it's flashy, it just exactly matches the mood. Those 18 plays they chose were what they call aragoto, the rough stuff. And I guess literary value is next to zero. Dramatic value, posing value, look at me, that value is really high. So the guy who designed these prints and the bookshop that made these prints, they kind of absorbed that ethic. And these prints are just grotesque. There's so much embossing, whatever. So I said I found them last night. I knew I'd had them, but they popped up last night. And I gave them to Yamada-san, so they will get photographed sometime this week, and they'll be in the collection. And maybe if you remind me about it, we can show them on Show and Tell next week or something. They're one of the paradoxes of this whole ukiyo-e field. People think of Japanese art and Japanese aesthetics as being refined, delicate. There's the beautiful tatami room with a scroll painting with a little dot and a flower with one bent branch and all this kind of stuff, And the Japanese do that really, really well. But they also do the bang just as well. So. Haven't heard that in a day or two, which reminds me that's on my list of things to do as well. I shouldn't have been fooling with the collection yesterday. I should have been updating the 8 Views of Cats page. I got some checks to send. Cameron's got some people to pay. People have been doing sending submissions. We've chosen some for level 2, so I've got some payments to make. When the bank opens up again after the weekend. Actually, I am going to take a pause here. I've got to sharpen. This thing is getting a little bit... time to sharpen here, gang. Sorry. Can't continue straight here. Let's do this. We have a new small one. For those of you who know what's going on here, I've got my regular sharpening stones. We've also been testing Ishikawa-sensei. Good morning, hello. Paper is out. I think I can tell you, she must be okay with this news. Her life changed last weekend. She joined the grandparents group. She's now a grandmother as of 2 or 3 days ago. Little boy. Her daughter had a little boy. And the hospital is closed, no visitors. So Ishikawa-san has been a bit frustrated. She wants to grab this, new grandchild, but not yet, sorry. The other one, I know where it is. It fell down behind the back of the cabinet here. So I've just got to take all this stuff apart, move the cabinet out, go down the back and find the stone. I know where it is. But Aoyama-san, who's designing our new tool system, he's found another one. He found a 4/100. What was I using before? The small one I had, it was a 600, 1200. And we're trying to find which is the optimum one to put in with the tools when we send them. And I'm thinking this is probably not going to be it. The 600, 1200, to me, the 6 was strong enough to cut the blade, and the 1200 left a nice finish. You didn't need a real finishing stone. This one, the 400, to me, it's dangerous. People are going to put their tool on this, get the wrong angle, and in a few strokes going to destroy their knife, and it only goes to 1000, which to me is not strong enough, not fine enough to use as your finished tool. So anyway, Aoyama-san said, what do you try and test this, see what you think. But I'm thinking that I already know where we're going to go with this. So when is the second view of cats released for sale? It's not finished yet. Dei-chan is working on it, not as we speak. Yesterday she was here. The first batch is printing right now. It's looking glorious. It's looking really good. I told you there's good news and bad news. It's 23 impressions, maybe actually more. She's still in the middle of it. And I have no idea what to do about the price and stuff. I had wanted the whole series to be the same price. I haven't controlled it all very well. We lost our heads with this second one and just threw everything but the kitchen sink at it. But it's looking glorious. You think the first one was okay. The first one was okay. The second one is just glorious, glorious. Yeah, the hospital going, myself, I was at the hospital last week, I'll be going next week. The place I've been going has an infectious disease ward, which has, COVID patients, and they have really done their job. It's a separate wing, and it's totally, totally isolated. Everybody's tested. They checked my temperature twice before they let me in the building the other day, out in the parking lot when I'm getting close to the building. So they're being really, really careful. I'm not worried about going to the hospital because I might catch it. Okay, let's give this a go. You see the black particles, that's metal. That's metal coming off the knife. That might be enough. Let's give it a touch more. Okay, there we go. Now this was a 1200. I might be able to get away with just using it right away, just go and use the knife, but there's no way on a 1000. I've absolutely got to move over to my finishing stone. Yeah, it's pretty, actually, it's not so thin actually. No, it's here. I can't bend it actually. I maybe could if I really put all my power behind it, but it's not flexing. It's not flexing. I guess they've worked it out. They've tried different strengths and thicknesses and whatever. I'm putting it down on the table, but it's not that thin and flexible. If you can see it, the mud again. The mud is partly from the Nagara stone and partly from sharpening here. I think we are good to go. When I found Dave on YouTube, I binge watched the whole lot, 100 videos. don't eat too much all at once, you know. It's like one of those thick metal credit cards. I don't know, I don't have one of those. I would have thought this would be thicker. I mean, it would be a lot of effort for me to bend this thing, you know. Somebody's here from Sao Paulo. Yeah, we were talking about Brazilian prints earlier. Is this the same conversation? Maybe I've missed it. I don't know. When artists are asked the key to their success, they rarely ever mention production. I don't know. To me, that's the key. You know, that we talked about this before. The German word. I can't pronounce it. Sitzfleisch. Put your bum in the chair and do stuff. Put your bum in the chair. Just keep going. How many times can I sharpen the blade before it needs replacing? I don't know in numbers, but let's have a look and see how we're going here. This blade. Oh, I got a lots left on it. It would have started somewhere maybe about, I don't know, about that long. And it will end somewhere around here. Well, maybe I'm halfway down on this one. I'm not quite sure. I can't tell exactly. When I was carving all the time, every day, making a good full print at least once a month and more, I would replace this a couple of times a year. These days, not at all. It's not even once a year when I replace it now, because I'm only carving a few hours a week. You know. The blades themselves are not so bad. 25, 30 bucks, whatever. And there's still lots of good blades. Blades are not one of those things where, oh my God, in the old days they were wonderful and now it's crap. There's lots and lots and lots of good hardware. I think not just here in Japan, but everywhere. It's because it's not just woodblock printmaking. I know, tool people, you know, carpenters, I know, you name it. You know, there's lots of people in lots of different fields need good chisels and knives and whatever. So we're piggybacking on all the other craftsmen who need good blades and stuff, you know. So getting good blades is not a problem. I'm saying that because I don't know what it was like 100 years ago, but I don't know. Watching the sumo on your TV and me on the phone. Has sumo started at 8:37 in the morning? Really? Well, you're seeing the sumo time delayed, I guess, right? There's a tournament on, but I don't think they're working at 8:37 in the morning. Whoa, much sharper. Got to be careful. I should have sharpened before starting this morning, actually. So. Yay, there we go. Sorry for the radio silence here, but we do have to make some attempt to concentrate on the work here. Excuse me. I wish the view was a bit closer, but one day we'll get to that. You'll be able to see through the scope, see what I'm saying one day. Good. Hop, 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 hop. Chatting about the wood. I had a dream I was carving something on the other side of his woodblock. His meaning mine? You're dreaming about me? Are you a she? The screen is frozen. I'm so still. So. That's quite a stream for Twitch, right? You can't tell whether or not the stream has frozen. This is a bug or a feature. I don't know. Has the stream frozen or not? We need one of those. There's like, isn't there a special website, right? Is Google down or something or whatever? You need a special. Is Dave's Twitch stream frozen or whatever? We can't tell. Actually, if my mother's here, I don't know. Is my mother in this morning? Whatever. She should just chime in there because that's a made-to-order anecdote for her. You know, absolutely. Is Dave alive, or is it frozen, or is he dead, or whatever? Nothing's moving. What's happening, you know? My mother would have stuff to talk about that one, absolutely, you know. And whenever this kind of conversation comes up, she'd mention like the difference between myself and my brother. You know, I have a younger brother, 2.5 years or so just behind me. I was first, followed soon by a brother, and we're similar in some ways. We're brothers, whatever, and we're not so similar in some other ways. You know, I guess. And the point of the story here at this point is that I guess I had been an extremely quiet kid. And my mother must have been thinking, oh, this is easy, let's do this again. And he came along and he was the sort of as the story goes, you know, he was like the exact opposite. He was a rambunctious and running all over the place and, you know, keeping her hands full, whatever. Like, so. And that shell shocked her so much, she waited nearly 10 years before my daughter came along, my sister came along, you know. So. And she told that story, you know, oh, this is easy, let's do it again. But the point of the story that she tells things like Dave would get a cardboard box. I don't know if this is true. Just these are the stories that she tells. You know, no reason for her to tell lies. She said Dave would get a cardboard box. He's like 2 years old or something, and Dave sits in this box. And like whatever, they've been shopping and it's a cardboard box on the floor. So Dave sits in the box like a cat, just sits there, doesn't do anything. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm whatever. I'm in the box, just sitting there." And I really don't know if this is true. She said, she's watching me, whatever. And then after like 35 minutes or an hour or something, Dave stands up, turns around and sits back down in the box again. And it all goes quiet again for 35 minutes. And like, she says, like, what was that? I went somewhere and then I turned around and came home. It's a train or something, you know. I don't know if this is true or if it's just a semi-made up story. But there it is, you know, is he alive? She keeps looking over to check, like, is he still breathing, you know? Again, I don't know if it's apocryphal or true, but I can believe it, you know, I can believe it. You know. There's certain people that like are okay, quiet, and there's certain people that need more, you know, need more whatever. Is she here this morning? So I don't see my mother. She's still off on her walk, is she? She's probably out for a walk with my sister. Yeah, so it's not just me. Somebody's their favorite box you kept in your room. Great, great. I think that's somebody says, I used to imagine I was driving a car. And I guess that's the thing, you're in a train or something. And I don't think I would have ever been in a car at that point. Well, I'm 2 or 3 years old. Would I have been in a train? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. Gordon Gummy here. This is an in joke for those of you who don't know. She is out for a sherry with tea. So this is an inside joke. What is this situation where people living on the other side of the world can make an inside joke about my family, A bizarre, strange world now. Check the time. Are we okay? I wasn't even watching the time. How are we? 8. Oh, good to go. Good to go. Oh, my mother is here. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. Well, there's something else I meant to mention, just about this time exactly. It's nearly 9 o'clock here. We're 5 before 9 here in Japan. The past couple of days when there's been no stream, a stream happens 3 days a week, and on the days there's no stream, I'm usually in my room just above here, and the windows are open outside. And I've noticed we've seen before on these last few streams that there's one of the boys that does the virtual tours. He's got his setup, his camera and stuff like that on an iPhone or whatever, walking down the street. And it turns out that it's not random. I had just thought, whatever, these boys are around, there's a call coming in. It turns out it's scheduled because Almost every day this past week, he has come by here at 9:10, 9:08 or 9:09 or 9:10. And I mentioned before, I had seen him. He stands in front of the Don Quixote store. Two or three boys from that same company do this. That's the assembly point. And I guess the people have made their reservation, and it seems to start at 9 o'clock. So they've made their reservation for whatever time it is in New York where they are, and they're ready. So this guy, probably right now as I speak, he's up there in front of the donkey store, he or two or three of his workmates, and the reservations have been made, and they're now waiting for tick, 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 tick. 9 o'clock, up it comes, the people connect up, and away they go. And he starts there at 9 o'clock, so he must first walk around. This is the Don Quixote store, this is the famous Asakusa, whatever, and then he starts his drill, he starts his routine, and he hits here just about 9:10, somewhere around there. So let's see if he has a reservation today or not. It's now a few minutes before 9. So if I'm correct on this, that the reservations start at 9 o'clock, if I'm correct on it, and if he does have one today, let's see if we see him at about 9:10. He can be our new shoe lady. She has moved to a time before this stream starts, so whatever. So countdown. And now that I've said this, of course, probably today nothing will happen. But I think that's what's going on. And over the coming weeks, we'll be able to see if there is a pattern with these things, or if it's just random. But I'm guessing that there is a pattern, and that it's a 9 o'clock start. We'll see what happens. The other thing that I would be waiting for then, if this becomes a thing, is that one day among his clients, people who are at the other end, are people who know a little bit about Japan or Asakusa. I can imagine he's explaining, we're walking down the street, this is the comedians, and the customer's going to interrupt him. I know that street, that's where that woodblock print shop is, and let's see. And we'll see if that kind of a connection can come. Maybe one day, who knows, let's get him in here. He can bring his customer inside and say hello to you guys, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Actually, now that I think about it, we should do that. We should game this. I'd be happy to chip in for this. I don't even know the website where these things are booked. But if we could find the website where this is booking, find the guy, I'd chip in for this. One of you guys make the reservation. Walk down the street. And when he gets to this point, you interrupt him, say, hey, wait, let's stop there. I want you to go inside that building. And he's gonna like freak out. No, I can't do that. We've got our plan. We're going down towards Sensoji Temple. We should do this, we should do it. I would happily pay for this. But I have no idea who it is. I think the company name at this end is Ebisu Ya, EBISU-Ya. That's the corporate entity at this end. But I don't know what they're advertising themselves at that end. Yeah, when he has customers, do they all have to be at the same place? Or is it like a Zoom thing where people are gathered from different places? Or his client is a single person or a group of people sitting on their couch in somewhere? Or is it, can he have a group? If there's a group, we could really do this. But how would they charge then? More people in the group? I don't know how it's done, so. The thing is, I'm supposed to be working, That's a sound now that we're going to hear more and more in the coming weeks. It's still midsummer. There's a lady with a broom. Can we see her on the camera, or is she off in a different direction? Is it the coffee shop people? I don't know, I can't see. Lady with the broom, you can hear her. And it's a broom on wet pavement, that's okay. But there's a sort of a special, to me it's a Japanese sound, although I guess it's international. There's the sound of broom on a wet pavement at the time of year when leaves are falling. And leaves are dangerous. They stick, they slide, people would slip on them. So anytime a shop like ours, we sweep up every morning, of course we do. But when there's fallen leaves and it's been raining, they are sticky. They're called nureta ochiba. Became wet, nureta, something that became wet, ochiba, fallen leaves. And it's one of those words in Japanese that has a double meaning. It's trouble for us. You heard her scraping, trying to get the wet leaves off the sidewalk. But it's also, and I have no personal experience of this, but it's also an idiomatic use. And it's the guy who has retired from his salaryman life. He's now home, and instead of going off to work every day, he's there. And his wife, instead of saying, okay, bye, see you tonight, he sits there. And there he is. I'm like, what am I going to do? And the expression for these guys, among the women and the housewives, is nureta ochiba. It's fallen there, it's stuck, I can't get rid of it, and whatever. And you heard that sound just now. The person trying to sweep up tried to get rid of the leaves that were stuck to the concrete there. So. "9:04. Are we going to get the guy walking down today or not? Now that I've talked about it, it's probably not going to happen. Ah, waiting for the guy. Suka, 9:10. I don't hear him. Whatever, the idea is there. Let's just watch over the streams over the next couple of weeks and see. Holiday for tour guides. It's funny, I thought about that when I was listening to these guys today. One of you came by the other day and it was absolutely just pissing down. It was pouring, pouring, pouring rain. And I realized that the people who are making the reservation, they're in, Tennessee or whatever, they don't know anything about the weather in Japan. And you book your time. And whether it's variable for the weather or not, I don't have any idea. So yeah, let's just watch and see how this goes. That may have been just a random thing that it isn't timed, or maybe it is a schedule. Time will tell. Let's have a look and see. Outside mic on. No, the outside mic is off. I must have turned it off when we had a noise last week. Let me do this. Outside mic is now coming back on to a lower level. Sorry about that. Footsteps. Okay, what's next up? Show and tell. Give me a few more minutes to work on here and whatever. Somebody else from Northeast England. There's a bunch of English people here today, are there? Good. There's the mouth. What's left? The two eyes. The two eyes, and all the hair's done. So this will be finished next session for sure. So when it comes to next session, I'll be carving the last bit of the faces. I'll be clearing. It'll mean there'll be some persuading, some noise in the next session. And then after that, we'll start to do color separations. After the key block is finished, we'll do some test printing, and we'll work out how many colors to put on this print and go from there. Okay, it's 9:15 or so. I'm late, actually. Let's have a look. Let's take a look at some show and tell. Okay, a few things this morning. Nothing really dramatically spectacularly interesting, just a few things, a couple of them just stuff that normally comes across my desk. So let's have a look. Let's put the outside down just for a little bit. Okay, first up, a package from Mr. K. I know people have been asking on the stream actually already. Mr. K came up with those 3 small Takamizawa prints for us over the past few weeks, and they will be up and running on our website over this weekend. Cameron is off because it's a holiday, so I can't get the mailing done because that stuff's all on Cameron's computer. So whatever, over the weekend or Monday morning, whatever, the mailing will be going out with the new prints that Kawai-san has made for us. He's finished those 3. He got his next job, and his next job is something you've seen before, but perhaps you've never seen it in this form, like this. We're going back in time, 8 years to 2012. Here we are with the first print in the Ukiyo-e Hero series. And we've had many, many of our printers working on this over the years, and now Kawai-san has done his first batch of them for us. And you know what I'm going to say. It's the same thing. So happy they're coming up. They're all exactly the same. Here we are, the very first of the Ukiyo-e Heroes prints. And this is the first time for us to get, can I get an embossing light here? Can we see it? It's in there somewhere. It's in there. It says, the bottom part of it is Suri. This is the first time on one of these prints, Suri Kawai Atsushi, his name. And at the top of it, of course, it says Horibur. Hori carving by Bo, Dave Bo. And there you are. And this is Kawai-san. Those of you who've done print parties here, you may remember Kawai-san from the print parties. He's had a bit of a fumbly English, but he's been okay. He's done a really good job in the parties. But all the time he was there doing the parties, he was wanting to be a printer. He was practicing training, but wasn't good and fast enough to be able to make a living at it. And now with the parties history, he is working for us as a printer. And I am very, very, very happy. Beautiful, beautiful batch of prints. No numbers yet. These will go to Jed. Jed will do the usual thing. He will put his numbers on them, and away they go. And Mario, now we're up to, I don't have the number in front of me, but we're up to easily 1,700 or 1,800 or so. And yet, when you look at these prints now, these are nearly 2,000 off the same block. And because we print them in small numbers, and all our printers are encouraged to keep their brushes as soft as possible, we are still looking at lots of detail. The mustache is still okay. The fingers, one by one, okay. Lettering, sharp. There's no way. If you'd have told me this 10 years ago, that this is the 2000s copy of those blocks, I just would have said, what have you been smoking? But we can do it. The other workshops slather on the thick, rich, rough pigment, and the blocks wear out in a few hundred. We use delicate, soft, well-ground pigment. We keep our print runs low, 60, 70 at a time, max. And because of that, our key blocks stay in beautiful, beautiful condition. When was the last time I compared a current print to the first? Well, like today, I don't know. I don't have... No, they're not here. We are going to be, I did it with the Great Wave. When we hit 1,000 on the Great Wave, I called the blocks back, microscope, compared the prints back and forth. And we're going to do that with the Great Wave when it hits 2,000, which is sometime in a couple of months from now. So we'll be sort of actually measuring this, showing photographs. There's the original block, there's the 2,000 block, there's print number 1, there's print number 2,000. We're going to document this with the Great Wave. I'm not documenting it with every single print we do. But the point being, am I ashamed of selling this because the block's worn out? I can't even tell the difference. And again, it's because of those policies we follow. Okay, next one is a similar story but different story. This is from one of our other printers, unpublicized. And these are from the old Doi Hanga blocks. They're from the old Doi Hanga blocks. And these blocks are worn to a frazzle. Worn to a frazzle. And our printers are struggling with the registration because the blocks are so thin and so worn. We need to put water on them to cup them back into shape and get it done. And as soon as you do that, they swell and shrink and swell and shrink. And if the print was just one print on the block, you can try and move it. But when the block is this big, and if you move it at this end, it moves over here, move it at this end, it moves over here, it's really, really difficult. So the printer who has done this, he's a bit frustrated, and he said, about the money I'm being paid for this. And I'm like, I know. You have to do the registration twice, right? And he says, yeah, how did you know? I'm like, what do you mean, how did I know? What I'm getting at is this. If you've got the print in your registration marks, and it turns out that maybe the part up at the top right here is matching. But the block is old and warped, so the part over at the left here doesn't match. Now, sometimes you can get it. If you move your registration mark just a fraction of a millimeter, the left will almost line up and the right will almost line up. And depending on the style of print, you can get away with it. This has clear, sharp outlines around all these trees. And it's also got snow. And this is a background that's printed twice. So you can't fool around with the registration mark. Look at this. There's snow here. And the snow is in the background block and in the tree block. So if you fudge the registration, let me just shift it a little bit, it'll maybe be okay. It doesn't work because when you come to do the next block, the snow is out of line. So what he has had to do with this, and he wasn't angry at me, he knows how it works, but he really wanted to discuss the pay. What he had to do was print each color twice with separate registration. What I mean is this. Imagine doing the background sky here. There's the block. You put your pigment on in your registration mark. You print both of these things together. That's the idea of having a 2-up. You're cutting your printing time in half. He couldn't do that. He masked out this, put the color on the right-hand side, registration mark ready, print it, just print the right-hand side, do the whole batch. Then go back to the beginning of the stack again, put the color on, masking out the left-hand side with the registration mark with a shim inside, and do the left. And then do the same thing in exactly the same discrepancy when you do the trees. So instead of bang once, bang twice, move on, he had to do once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, So it's doubled the printing time when something that was designed to cut the printing time in half. So at this point, with the block set this old, I can't fool with these. These are not my blocks. These are blocks that belong to the Doi Hanga company. If they were mine, at this point, I would cut my losses. I would get the skill saw out. I would cut this thing in half. Throw away the left side and use just the registration marks for the right side and just go bang, 1, bang, 2, bang, 3, bang, 4. But having said all that, he has done a very, very nice job. Lots of nice sky, lots of nice snow. And these are blocks, these would have been carved these are before I was born. These blocks have been up and working and making woodblock prints since before I was born. This is pre-war. This is late 1930s, early 1930s, somewhere around there, I don't know. And that's a cool thing of our job too, being able to use those blocks and still make beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prints from them. So I'm going to check these now, see which ones are okay. There's lots of tests there. There's lots that are misregistered that he tested that I will not be able to sell. Then, the real show and tell today. Let's see what we got. The package arrived the other day. Let's look and see what's inside. Actually, I know what's inside, but let's show you guys. This is, what's the date on this? This is post-war, early post-war. And what we're going to look at, this is not Takamizawa or Adachi, one of the major companies. This is a smaller company, I know how to read I know how to look at the characters, I don't know how to read it. Kyoei, I'm not quite sure the pronunciation of their name. And they were noted for making large size. They took normal ukiyo-e prints and blew them up large size. But this one is different. This is a print that is made from a scroll painting. Adachi has one in their catalog, and these guys did this. Let me see if I can get this. Let me try and slide this out and get rid of the covering. Will it slide out? It's all glued in. Just a second. How are we going to do this? Okay. We are going to be taking the print out of this packaging anyway, because the packaging is not acid-free, it's unsafe. So I will be getting my knives and removing it from this packaging. So don't get upset if you see me destroying packaging here. We have here the famous Mikaeri Bijin. Mikaeri Bijin-zu. And it's Hishikawa Mononobu. Oops. And the original of this was a painting, a scroll painting or a byobu painting. I don't know. It was a painting. This was done originally before there was ever such thing as color woodblock printmaking. And this company took the thing and made an ukiyo-e print out of it. And this is 1960s, maybe 1970s. I don't really know any. Oh, it is loose. We can look at this. Okay. Let's do this. Give me 1 second. Let me get rid of this stuff. No, it's not loose in its folder. I'll have to do surgery to get it out of the folder, but let's have a look at this. And I was hoping we would have printers' names on here. We don't. But in any case, I wouldn't know those guys anyway. This is an era from before I met any of the carvers and printers in Japan. Let's have a look at this. It's beautiful. I know it's deep, rich printing. I know the background here, they must have printed I don't know how many times to get that color rich and smooth and saturated. It was wonderfully glorious paper that you would have been able to work again and again and again and again. And what you see here is, I don't know if you're seeing it as yellow or gold, it is done with a metallic pigment. And let's see again if we can find the angle here to, yeah, I think we can see this, right? You can see what's going on. They've done the metallics in metal. It's probably, I don't know, I would have said bronze powder, but this is 1960. Now I'm not seeing any oxidization. I don't know what they used. It's possible they used gold, which hasn't oxidized, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know. Although, the more I look at it, if it had been bronze powder, it would now be totally green, but this is almost totally gold color. It's possible they used the gold leaf. No idea. Now we have one of these in our collection upstairs already, so this is going to go into our flea market, into our shop, when we eventually have such a thing again. Dave, get it right. What am I seeing here at the top? It's supposed to be makeup. Look at that. The printer's been a bit careless here. There's a block carved for the area under her eyebrow. And he should have put the pressure just at the top of it there, but he's leaned his baron a bit too far. This is not good. All this effort. Yeah, he's leaned it a bit too far. And it's because we get a side light. If we saw it with a normal light from the top. I see. Okay, when you see it under a more normal light, it looks normal. But it's because I've got the light here coming from the side. it shows up that marking a bit more. And as far as the image goes, we're looking at late 1600s, 1680, 1690 or so, before woodblock printing was actually invented. Whether you like the picture or not, whatever, is a different question. I myself, whatever, that's irrelevant to me. I'm just looking at the beautiful object here. But we have very nicely made, beautiful woodblock print. Adachi had it in their catalog in the 1980s. They published it as a scroll print. And it's funny because the reason I know about that one is because when I did my own scroll print in 2005 or 6, whatever, I went to see our paper maker. And I asked him about the kinds of paper you would need when making a scroll print. And he says, yeah, we can do it for you. We've just finished a job for Adachi doing the same thing. And because the print is going to get rolled up, when you're making a woodblock print that's going to be rolled up as a scroll, you can't use the normal heavy, thick paper like this. Because if we tried to roll this up, if we mounted it and rolled it, it would just crease all the way down. So I ordered paper from Iwano-san, and it's sort of a double layer paper. They make it scoop, pause or something, and then scoop some more. So you've got quite a thick paper you can do your deep, rich printing on. But when you're finished, you can do like we do with the peel with the Gumpy. You can dry, just split the paper in one corner and go, are we ready? And split the whole thing in half, leaving the front nice and thin, ready to run as a scroll. So Adachi's version of this was published as a scroll. They sold it for about 300,000 yen. This is a late, immediate post-war, 1960s version. And we do have a little marking down at the corner, which shows us who printed it. And I don't know this guy at all. This is long before my time. It says Sudi Ito. Not carving Ito, it says Sudi Ito. And I don't know who this is. It's, like I said, it's out of my experience. Anyway, there we go. Okay, a nice little object. It'll be cleaned up, removed from its backing, fresh aired, and eventually it'll appear in our flea market. Okay, there we go. It's Saturday morning. We'll be up again. The work will be finishing up that key block with those two boys. That'll be Monday morning's job, Sunday night for most of you guys. Whether it be raining or not, no idea. Okay, thanks very much for joining us today. It's been hopefully a little peaceful, quiet little slice of life here. And I'll be back again 48 hours from now, 48 hours minus 98 minutes. I'll enjoy reading the stream here, reading the chat while I'm having my lunch. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Oh, don't forget, Dave, don't forget. I'm going to head upstairs, chat with Ishikawa-san. I can't have a cup of coffee. I have already been told no more coffee. Coffee for me is a thing of the past because of this eye. It turns out that caffeine is a strong predictor and a worsener of this situation. So for me, my morning coffee is now a thing of the past. I had a cup of weak tea this morning, and that's going to be what it is from now on for me. Anyway, see you again Monday morning. Bye-bye for now. See you soon.